We're going to be looking at the lab background, or the pre-lab to determining bonding types lab. This lab will go over ionic and covalent compounds. Each of the ionic and covalent compounds have physical properties that relate to their structures. So there are some tests we can do to help identify what type of bond it is, whether it is ionic or covalent. One thing we can look at is melting point. So melting points, an ionic bond is made when ions of opposite charges, so a cation being positive, anion negative, come together to create a crystal lattice structure, like a salt. In order to melt an ionic compound, the temperature has to rise until the ions move with enough force to break away from the oppositely charged ions. So the positive and negative are so attracted, there has to be enough heat to break that connection or that bond. For table salt, this means you would need a temperature of 801 degrees Celsius to hit the melting point to break those bonds. That's over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. For covalent compounds, they don't break apart when they melt, so they only have to reach a temperature strong enough to pull them away from the other molecules to melt them. This is why most small covalent molecules are a liquid or gas at room temperature, because they have such a low melting point. Thinking of oils as an example of a liquid at room temperature that you can find in your home. Solubility and conductivity. Solubility is its ability to dissolve, and conductivity is its ability to conduct electrical currents or electricity. So ionic compounds dissolve very easily in water to create what is called an aqueous solution. Think of like aqua with water, aqueous solution. Since water is a polar molecule, meaning it has a partial charge. So water is sharing electrons, but it is more charged towards the oxygen. It has two nonmetals, but oxygen is negatively charged and hydrogen is positively charged. Once water is full of charged particles, it can conduct electricity very easily. Tap water conducts electricity because the chemicals used to treat the water are ions. So that makes water into a conductor. When it dissolves in water, those ions separate, giving positive and negative ions floating in the water. That's what creates the ability for it to conduct. Nonpolar or covalent compounds do not dissolve well in water. They have no charges on their outsides, so they're not attracted to the polar water that has the positive-negative charge. Some polar covalent compounds do dissolve in water. However, they do not conduct electricity in water because they do not have charges. So since covalent compounds are going to share electrons, they're not going to be positive or negatively charged, meaning they will not conduct electricity. Most of the covalent compounds that may not dissolve in water, think of oil and water, how they don't mix, or wax in water, like if a candle can float on water, that can be an example of a non-polar covalent compound.